Designer clothes, nail stores, the final toes. I'm dressing up my wife cause at night she even glows. Arm and Hammer, baking soda, something gotta give. I'm rinsing out my mouth, you know, washing out my jibs. Sipping on some tea while I reflect on what I did. Staking Hex for 15 years, I did it for my kids. Stress free, no bother. They never have to worry about reliving my life so they can struggle like I did. What's this? A reenactment of a sage master. Respect mathematics, move forward, not backwards. If you have a best friend, watch who you attach with. The betrayal is real and it could all end tragic. Life is savage. The truth is some can never manage. They walk around town all blind with bad habits. See, it's blissful when you smoke the cigarette of ignorance, thinking money is everything when it's all devilish. Still noble like it is just pure deliverance. Teaching the truth to those who seek it, admire reverence. Never embrace those who are indignant and praise irrelevance, pretending they're intelligent but lack common sense. We were born into our bodies, that's where the first marriage is. Till death do we part, but some feed us false narratives. See, before I'm legend, smack the devil in the face. And since the world's a stage, ask Chris Rock how it tastes.
I was born to create. If you ever made a classic rap song, you can relate. Put a seal on my fate. My family is straight. I dropped 19 timeless albums to the date. The love for my fans is crazy. They embrace me. I am the bag that money be trying to chase me. This is legit the best collaboration. Generational wealth from a song foundation. In this insane world, times is hard. Some commit suicide, some found God. The rest of y'all robots relying on the government. You gotta listen to the message that a brother sent. I wouldn't steer you wrong, I'm here to help shit. No problem spreading that knowledge, I'm never selfish. We invested in crypto, now I'm growing strains on a farm out in Frisco. Let's go.
And if that doesn't make you feel sorry for him, then you just a cold motherfucker.
Yeah. Grand morning, grand rising, what the business is. I'm black, I understand what white privilege is. They say we ghetto cause we want more for our fellows. To not get scammed and lose all their crypto. I grab the cello, make the sound of falsetto. I'm a priest, I don't break what's confidential. Factual, only deal with what's essential. Higher standards, you thinking backwards. If this was back in the day, you could roll up into backwoods. Or get slumped, body found in the backwoods. I got excited, so my wife it gave her Blackwood. Not abusive things, I mean it was that good. Test me, I wish a nigga really would. The news said he got left where he stood. Nah, I open the scroll of papyrus. Knowledge deeper than Osiris. I throw the shells when I'm divining. Charity work, peace to all the Shriners. Mystical champions and esoteric writers. Allow misfortune to fall on whoever divides us.
Good day, everybody. We're going to get right into this. Hope you're doing well. You're now here, the Crypto Wonder Show. And I'm your host, the Crypto Wonder. And we're going to take this time out to really reflect on some things that we should be grateful for, you know. This is akin to real talk. This is akin to real talk. You know, it was something that just came across my timeline that I was looking through that reminded me of something that, okay, let me just put it simple and plain. Forget about the timeline. We're going to talk about like real life, right? I work with people who have problems, like in every way you can imagine. And each and every time that I work with them, I'm reminded of why I need to take account of what I have personally and respect what I have. And what I mean by that, I mean everything, every aspect of the word, right? Take accountability of everything that I have, because the people who I work with, I work for, who I serve, who are my clients, remind me of how fortunate I am. You're talking about individuals who basically can barely think for themselves, okay? Who are sick mentally, physically, who have no support, no familial support, no support in the community, no friends, who are alone, who've been abandoned, rejected by society at large. Okay? Individuals who you would not even care that they even were alive because of the things that they've done, the acts they've committed, continue to commit, and perhaps will continue to commit. Criminals alike. I'm talking about what they call the dregs of society. Yeah. Because in many cases where I work, okay, there are certain points and places that people identify as the last stop. The last stop. Like if you're doing certain things, you only have a few choices, right? And one of them is either you're going to end up in a hospital, you're going to end up confined in some type of prison somewhere, or you're going to end up in a cemetery, right? And these individuals, it's almost like those that don't find themselves in the cemetery become part of a revolving system, a revolving door. You know how sometimes you think when you turn on the news, you watch TV and you turn on the news, or you hear about, however you get some news about somebody who assaulted somebody in the street, someone who pushed someone off a train platform, someone who attacked someone with a hammer, someone who stabbed somebody, someone who set somebody on fire, someone who set a building on fire, someone who did X, Y, and Z. Menace, right? Just completely just being a completely dangerous types of elements. And sometimes you think, oh, why don't you just lock them up somewhere and throw away the key? When you're dealing with certain bureaucratic systems that exist, you're thinking you could throw these people away and you'll never see them again. I work in those places where we receive these people. I work in the places where it's the last stop. And it no longer, for some cases, becomes the last stop unless it's severe. There are people that are living in these places over 40 years. They could never come out. A lot of us don't know what that is like, right? And be grateful for not knowing what that level of suffering even entails, right? where you have to remain in control, you have to be balanced, you have to evaluate, you have to assess, you have to help some of the most undesirable people known to man. You got to put your feelings, your biases, your personal anything aside. Prejudice, whatever you want to call it, just to meet somebody's or provide a service, basic need in whatever professional capacity. Many people don't know what it's like. And when I'm engaging in certain activities and working as a professional, right, with these people, I always remember to give thanks, to be grateful for what I have. Because it's like a fine line you walk. And because the majority of the population that I take care of right now are all mentally ill. And we're not just talking about anxiety and depression. We're talking about forensic involvement, criminal involvement, bipolar, borderline, schizophrenia, psychotic, everything you can imagine, commingling with substance abuse. Commingling with conduct disorder and oppositional defiance, all kinds of crazy stuff. Again, criminal involvement in history, crazy stuff. People living with bullets in their heads. People who just had complete disregard for life. Where if they're not medicated, it becomes a dire situation, immediate dangerous situation on the spot. But we forget if we're not around these things, right? For a lot of people forget because I haven't, they don't understand. It's like, whatever, not my problem. This doesn't happen in my community, so I don't care. Let the other people take care of that, right? Right. Meanwhile, there's a fine line between allowing yourself to live in a state where you're sane and when you're insane. And when you cross that threshold to become insane, it's very hard, next to impossible, to come back. People don't know what they have. They don't know the good that they have right now, just in life. Forget about even cryptocurrency. The spoiled and entitled, right, egotistical nonsense that I see in crypto and in this community completely is a complete turnoff, because you're not living in a real world to me. You're not living in a real world to me. The real world is when you discover, like on the news, just came out, where a person who was owner of a crypto company found dismembered in the suitcase. Was missing July 18th. They discovered 2 days ago the body of him dismembered in a suitcase because he owed money, was given money from a criminal gang organization in South America. Crypto millionaire, purported, alleged crypto millionaire. And what do folks talk about in this community? 10,000x gains. Right? You get caught in that mania. I do too. I have too. I've talked about it. Life-changing wealth. Generational. When you disrespect the position that you're in right now and you don't have a long-term view, the likelihood of you succumbing and experiencing hardship is very high because you're not appreciating the position that you're in right now and taking it serious all the while. This is why I have a certain countenance about myself, a certain disposition about myself. I treat this thing very serious because everything and anything can change at a split second. You would not see or hear me call someone poor or broke, right? Or insult someone's economic status just to feel better about yourself, about myself. You would not find me in any situation ever, even especially on the internet, saying that about other people, especially when I know what it's like to have nothing except me. When you know better, you should do better. But there are so many people in the world who are so selfish. It's not about ranting for the sake of ranting. There are people who are so selfish. There are people who want nothing good for you. They would prefer to have you remain in a state of suffering for the rest of your days because that would make their miserable lives feel better. Because some people are just fractured, they're broken, they're traumatized, they don't know how to resolve it, and the best way for them to get through it is to project, to transfer their internal woes and struggles onto the world. They want the world to reflect how bad they feel forever, or until something inside them allows them to make a conscious decision to seek change and make the real change. This is why I can't align sometimes with some of this fantasy hocus pocus stuff that I see in this community with the talk braggadocious bravado, people being extreme braggarts, talk about how much money they have, how much money they've made, all these things. Do you not understand that when you talk that talk, that you're being watched, right? Right? Someone's watching you. Someone who very well may not like you is watching you. You understand? You're creating a bullseye on your back. You become a target when you brag and boast. Because most people are not bragging and boasting. Most people are not rich. Most people are not well off. Most people are having a hard time making ends meet. Most people don't want to uplift one another. And here you go. Had an opportunity to receive an abundance of blessings. Here you go. Trying to now disparage others, disrespect other people, try to make people feel inferior to you, as if your reality cannot change in a split second. And certain things you can't explain. Certain things occur that there's no logic or rationale or rhyme or reason. There's certain things of life that are simply mysterious, that relate to phenomenon, that relate to things that are simply unexplainable. Like your life can change in a split second. Our lives can change anybody. No one's void of that. So you mean to tell me you don't believe that things that you do won't come back to you? That's your choice. But the same way you amass a certain level of success is the same way you could lose it. Especially in this space, especially with crypto. Like certain things happen that just kind of like has to puts me all together and reminds you, oh yeah, wake up, Wonder, wake up. Like, yeah, remember where you are. Always remain grounded and don't create a fantasy and live in some fake citadel somewhere in the sky somewhere arguing with other people who are in a dream state about which cloud is thicker than the other. No, remain grounded. Because this is where it counts. This is where we are. This is where we exist. I don't live in the sky. I don't live in a dream. I don't live in a fantasy dream state. Have to understand that, folks, there are more people who have it hard than those who do not. And you may think that you're going through something, you're struggling, going through a hard time. Like we all are in our own ways. There's always someone who has it worse than you at every time, even though sometimes it's not something we would like to hear or even think about, but there are people who are always struggling more, much, much more. There are people who don't have consistent running water, and that's part of their normal daily lives. There's people who don't have access to electricity, things that we take for granted. There's people who don't have access to good quality health care, things that we take for granted. And you're going to just brag, flaunt, fake flex like you're doing something on the internet. Who are you impressing? You're not impressing people like me. I'm not the only one who's out here who thinks this way either. It's about being real and being grounded and being grateful. That's what it's about. DX369, how you doing? Doing well here. Doing well. Just thinking about a few things on this lovely day. Hope all is well with you. We have to be grateful for just being in this position that we're in within this DeFi space. We don't know how deep the ramifications are and how far they'll go and how this community will evolve, right? But we're living and laying down the legacy. We're laying down the history. We're living through history. We're living through history. And those of us who document these things by way of creating content, using social media, using the internet to do this, people are going to look back. And these are future case studies for whatever, I think, in my opinion, for future academics to look back on this time that we're living through. And what is it that you want to represent, right? How do you want to, what position do you want to play now? Because what we're doing now will have an effect on others in the future, whether we want to believe it or not. They'll say, oh, okay, this was a pivotal, revolutionary time where people were dealing with groundbreaking experiments. How were they handling these experiments within this revolutionary time period? How were things being handled? How did they behave? Right? What did people do? What did they do during this time? Wouldn't you want to see yourself in the best light, that you can possibly exhibit for yourself? Forget about future, for the future and people looking back in history and say, I would definitely want to look back and say, oh, okay, wow, I learned and I've grown a lot and I've attached myself, with individuals who were able to grow and develop and be a part of this groundbreaking, revolutionary epoch or era, if you will. Life-changing, all these great things that we hold on to and we respect. How we act should be synonymous with these great things that we're waiting to experience for some of us, that some of us have already experienced. But to tear people down, to disrespect someone, to talk down, to insult, to curse those who have less than you, to me, not only identifies your character and who you are, because I do believe in the law of reciprocity. What you put out there, you get back in return. But not only does that paint a picture and describe the personality of who you are, it will show people in the future. And even now, it's already been showing people. That's why I believe there's a shift that's taking place. A certain paradigm shift that's occurring right now that folks don't want to allow to happen. But this shift and revealing a certain unsavory personality type or types are going to show people and give examples to future people who want to come into this community, who want to utilize these coins, who want to participate with this blockchain, et cetera, in the ecosystem. You're going to show with your bad personality what people do not ever want to become or ever do, especially when they see that their lives change for the better. Why would you downplay those who are less fortunate? Why would you? It's like walking in an urban metropolis, like over here. I'm in New York City. I'm surrounded by everything you could imagine, good and bad. But because of the nature of my work, I'm literally dealing with the dregs of society. And I can never personally pretend or act as if my life can't become like theirs in a split second. So I will not personally carry some fake air of superiority, become a pompous, arrogant piece of trash because I feel like I'm more superior than someone who's living under a tent on a sidewalk in the most active city in the world, pretending like that can't be me if I don't get my act right, pretending like life can't change for me in a split second, may not even end up in the street, could end up somewhere that I don't want to be. There is no way I've seen it on many levels that I don't need to talk about here. But this is why I speak the way I speak, and I'm unwavered. I'm not impressed with people who talk about how rich they are and want to, reduce themselves to the activities of a child, creating memes and jokes on the internet and pointing fingers at others who are not rich, who are just straight up poor. Think that's funny? It's unfortunate. They say that in some circles, they believe that those who have nothing are closer to the Creator than those who have everything. The meek, they say, shall inherit the earth. Certain things that we, again, take for granted, others cherish. Now, I'm not saying forget about and relinquish all the good that you have so that you could live in a complete opposite state of abundance. No one's saying that. What I'm saying is going back to the whole idea of being grateful. Take inventory and being accountable for what good we have. Being accountable for the fact that we can have a discussion talking about 10,000x. Some people didn't wake up today at all. And we're here and we could talk about something that could potentially just bring 10,000x. You don't see how fortunate, you don't see how blessed we are. We take it for granted. Some people can't afford to hold on to their coins. Some people are selling their coins out of necessity. They're selling their sacrifice coins out of necessity. Not because they want to just simply sell because they got upset at what they heard some rich person told them and they're rich too, and just to get back at them, they're just going to sell their bags to make a stupid point. No, some people are selling so that they can eat. Some people are selling so that they don't end up on the street, so that they could feed their kids. The sacrifice level comes in, it's multifaceted, multi-dimensional. There's many variables dealing with this term sacrifice. I don't play with that term, especially if you're an adult, able-bodied, conscious, responsible human being where you're taking care of a family. You really know what it means to not only sacrifice, but to live a life of sacrifice. People here take it for granted. It's a lot of people who are infantile in their mind. They don't exercise any wisdom. You could hear it from the way they speak. They lack experience. They lack a certain level of maturity, and it has nothing to do with age, because a person can be relatively young and wise beyond their years. So it has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with their mental aptitude. Have to take notice of some of these things and not align yourself with things that's just going to bring confusion and drama and nothing fruitful in your life, in your everyday. This is why sometimes I discover things that I see the community doing. How do you discover these things? Finding out in different groups, YouTube, Twitter, timelines, all kinds of stuff. And I'm not crazy about 95% of the nonsense people pull in this community. I'm not crazy about it. I've been very vocal about it. But then when you step back, because that becomes problematic too, like getting caught in the mania and the drama. Sometimes you lose sight as to what's important. And then somebody who has a bullet in their head, who I have to work with, who if he doesn't take his medication, he's going to go outside and violate a woman, reminds me, sort of like puts me in check and lets me know, listen, this nonsense on the internet has nothing to do with what goes on in the real world, in the real life. And if you're going to talk that talk on the internet, you will be tested in real life, because people are watching. Everybody's online. Everybody who you think is not online is online. Granted, we understand there are many people across the world who have no internet access. Well, we live in the United States, for example, or in a first world country, people watching. So y'all talk about mass adoption. Again, you talk about decentralization. Everyone, good, bad, and the ugly, can participate. And so when you out there talking that talk, again, I don't care how tight your operational security is either. When you talking that talk about how big your bag is, how rich you are, how much of a life-changing event that you're living through, you become a target. Again, this young man, he looked young in his picture, had a company in Argentina. The news is out. Go do your research. Got a company in Argentina, borrowed some money because his company was doing bad. He was a reported crypto millionaire. Went missing on July 18th, was found on July 26th in a suitcase. They found his head and his torso. I don't know where his other appendages or limbs are. Found. Crypto millionaire. Borrowed money from a gang in Argentina. Crypto millionaire. Y'all be talking that millionaire talk. Y'all talk like, yeah, oh yeah, millionaire, millionaire, millionaire. Popping bottles, champagne, you on boats, taking vacations. This is what y'all do online. Like, I don't understand that. Like, that's something that, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm old. Maybe it's a new day. This is what you Gen Zs, millennials believe in, like just exposing things and just, you know, I don't know, sharing everything. I mean, everything about what you're doing. You talking about online, you a millionaire? I'm not saying that's what this guy did, but how are people gonna identify him as a crypto millionaire? And he's not the first millionaire that had to suffer some type of such a serious fate. Use your head. Use your head, people. Use your head. Because it's serious out here.